Welcome to the Season 1 finale of Heal Me with Chocolate. I'm Dr. Beata Lerman, the founder and creator of Sinless Chocolate, and today I want to wrap up this incredible journey we've been on together. We talked about chocolate and health and ingredients in a way few people do, honestly, scientifically, and lovingly. We explored everything from hidden sugars hijacked your metabolism to the ancient spiritual uses of cacao. We've talked about gut health, mood support, nootropics, sourcing, sweeteners. Today, we're putting a bow on all of that with one last big, delicious episode. We're going to talk about why the mainstream chocolate industry keeps getting it wrong, what makes the functional chocolate truly different, and how my personal relationship with chocolate has completely transformed. So, if this is of interest to you, we welcome you to become a part of our growing village. And let's dive in. Let's start with one very specific case study where the chocolate gone wrong category. And that would be the Cadbury 30% less sugar milk chocolate bar. Let's talk about what went wrong there. One of the biggest cautionary tales in the better for you chocolate movement is the Cadbury 30% less sugar milk chocolate bar. So in 2019, Cadbury launched its new product, which was hailed as a step towards the healthy indulgent. The company claimed to have spent over 2 years and over $5 million developing the bar. They had the best food technologists, scientists, tasters, super tasters. Their goal? To cut sugar in their best-selling royal milk chocolate without compromising the iconic creamy taste that people loved. Importantly, they opted not to use artificial sweeteners. Instead, they turned to soluble corn fiber, polydextrose, maltodextrin, and oligofructose bulking agents meant to mimic sugar's texture and volume. This may have sounded like a clean solution, but the reality was far more complicated. These highly processed ingredients, particularly maltodextrin, can have a glycemic index higher than table sugar, which means they still spike your blood sugar, just in a sneakier way. Plus, those compounds are known to cause digestive distress in many people. At first, consumers were thrilled until they weren't. Reviews cited grainy texture, lackluster flavor, and odd aftertaste. While technically 30% less sugar, the bar didn't provide any additional nutritional value. No functional ingredients, no added fiber, no protein, or any adaptogens. And to be fair, the best-selling in the world Cadbury Royal Milk Chocolate has, in the original formulation, had 70 grams out of the 100 grams that was sugar. So they didn't try to make it 30 grams of sugar. They tried to make the 30% less of that 70 grams. And here's the kicker. It didn't last. The product was quietly pulled from the shelves in many markets in the early 2023. It failed because it followed the old formula: treat chocolate like candy and simply subtract sugar, without rethinking the foundational ingredients. By contrast, functional chocolate, like what we craft at Sinless Chocolate, starts from scratch. We see chocolate not as candy, but as a healing delivery system. We work with whole cacao, clean non-glycemic sweeteners, and functional botanicals that nourish your brain, gut, and hormones. So the Cadbury bar didn't fail because people don't want healthier chocolate. It failed because people want better chocolate. chocolate that delivers you both joy and function without compromise. So I remember reading the announcement that Cadbury pulled the bar, and I remember putting the post on my LinkedIn that for all of those who are disappointed that they now don't have an access to milk chocolate that has 30% less sugar than 70 grams per bar, they can come and try our milk chocolate that has no sugar and offers superior taste. And we actually got a lot of interest. People do want better options, and people do want to indulge without detriment to the health. So what is so polarizing about reducing sugar? Here's the bold take. Simply reducing sugar in conventional chocolate doesn't fix the real problem. In fact, it can make it worse. When you remove sugar but keep everything else ultra-processed, you're left with a product that spikes blood sugar in more confusing and unpredictable ways. The gut doesn't recognize synthetic fiber and maltodextrins as nourishing, and therefore doesn't know what to do with it. So it can cause bloating, insulin resistance, and microbiome changes that is not beneficial. Let's look at an example of many sugar-free chocolates using maltitol, which we talk about at length, which has glycemic index around 35 to 52. If you remember, and if you don't, I'll remind you, the regular sucrose, the table sugar, has a glycemic index of 61. So 52 is not far off. It's almost as high as sugar. It absorbs slowly, but still triggers insulin release. It also can cause bloating, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. Then there is sorbitol, often found in diabetic-friendly products. While its glycemic index is a lot lower, it's 9, it's a stronger gut fermenter, often causing gas, cramps, and even laxative effects in modest amounts. By contrast, at Sinless Treats, we came up with a blend of unprocessed whole plant sweeteners such as whole plant stevia, means the stalks and the leaves, the chicory root inulin, and erythritol made from organic apples and pears. We actually get that from France because they have a technology to really turn that into a metabolically beneficial sweetener. This synergy between those three sweeteners creates the sweetness that is blood sugar friendly and also gut friendly. Inulin in particular feeds the beneficial gut bacteria, adding metabolic benefit rather than drawbacks. Plus, this clean blend avoids the bitter aftertaste associated with any natural sweeteners that is ultra-processed. It's a win-win. Taste and tolerance. You know my story. I'm a cancer survivor and I gave up sugar after my cancer diagnosis. What I couldn't give up was chocolate. So I want to tell you how chocolate became my wellness breakthrough. People often ask me about why chocolate. Why not supplements or smoothies or tea? And the truth is, I didn't choose chocolate. Chocolate chose me. When I was going through my scientific and biomedical career, there wasn't a single exam, thesis defense, publication drafting that I did not go through with a steady diet of chocolate. And so when I started my health journey years ago, I needed something that would give me the same benefit without all of the drawbacks of literally hundreds of grams of sugar I could consume in one night when I would be studying or writing a grant or preparing for a thesis defense or a conference or a presentation. Fill in the blank. Before, I would eat the conventional candy and have the crush and have the brain fog and feel really bad. I looked for something nourishing, but I couldn't find it. After my cancer diagnosis, I didn't have a choice. If I wanted to stay alive and live a long, healthy life, I needed to cut sugars out. That's when I started asking questions. How can I put the sweeteners that I can use into somebody else's chocolate. And when that didn't work, I said, I'm going to invent my own. My cravings wasn't just for sweetness. It was for relief, for presence, for something sacred. And when I started asking the better questions, what if chocolate could still be that moment of comfort, but without the health costs, without what got me to my lymphoma diagnosis? What if it could nourish me instead of deplete me? I went to a trip to Peru and Costa Rica and Ecuador, and I started to learn from the remote communities of cacao farmers how they make chocolate. And more importantly, how did their ancestor did it back in those days when the sugar was just not a thing. I experimented with adaptogens, with nootropics, with prebiotics. I read glycemic studies. I talked to herbalists, chiefs, farmers. There were dozens of bad batches. That would be an understatement. I can't even imagine how many tens of kilos of chocolate I just basically threw away, put in a trash can, because it tasted so bad that even my husband, who eats every last bit, would not stomach eating that. So, bad batches, bitter fails, gritty textures, but I kept on pursuing the perfect chocolate, because with each version, something was shifting. I didn't just taste better chocolate, I felt better, clearer, calmer, more nourished. And that's when I knew this wasn't just a snack. It was my daily ritual, a new way of eating, healing, and reconnecting. Sinless Treats was born from my kitchen and that transformation. It started as my private solution and became the public mission. Because I knew I couldn't be the only one who loved chocolate but hated how the sugary chocolate made me feel and where it got me in my health journey. And I believe that food rooted in science, nature, and love could change lives, starting with me and my family. So let's wrap that up with a few what I used to do, but now I do moments that I know many of you can relate to. I used to crave chocolate at 3 p.m. and crash by 4, especially in the lab, especially on those long days when there is no time to eat lunch or breakfast or dinner. Now I have my perfect darkened milk chocolate bars, some of them with cacao nibs, some of them with organic fruits, some of them with nuts, but all of them with adaptogens and nootropics that lifts my mood and helps me focus throughout the day with the sustained energy. I used to avoid chocolate at night. Oh, who am I kidding? No, I didn't. I ate it all, but it did mess up my sleep and knocked me out of ketosis by the morning when I was starting my keto lifestyle journey. Now I can enjoy 4, 5, 6 chocolate bonbons after dinner, sometimes blended with lavender flowers and broccoli microgreens. And I'm asleep in 30 minutes without any effect on my ketosis level, but it does help me wind down naturally. I used to gain weight after eating chocolate and feel guilty about it. Now I celebrate those moments, because the anti-inflammatory properties of the chocolate I created, that is made by heirloom cacao with plant-based sweeteners and prebiotic, nourish my skin, gut, and mind all in one bite. Nah, it's not one bite. I ate it all. I still eat it all, just it doesn't affect me anymore. Here's one more. I used to read labels in frustration, thinking that somebody definitely has invented chocolate that would be clean and good tasting that I can enjoy, and never trusting what was in the bar. Now I create chocolate where every ingredient earns its place, from wild harvested cacao to brain-boosting botanicals. And the shift is not just physical, it's emotional and mental too. Chocolate became my bridge back to self-care, to joy without the baggage. This season has been about awakening for what chocolate can be. We've learned how to decode sweeteners and sugar alcohols, the impact cacao farming on soil, health, and mood, how to read the ingredients and how real ingredients affect your brain, heart, and hormones, and why transparency and testing matter more than just trendy claims. We explored the wisdom of indigenous cacao farmers. We tackled the mystery about the sugar-free treats. We laughed about chalky health bars that are unpalatable, eat the bulk of them. We envisioned a future where chocolate doesn't just taste good, it does good. As we look forward to Season 2, here are 3 things that I want to leave you with. Read beyond the label. Dark or sugar-free doesn't mean healthy. Flip it over, look at ingredients, like cacao mass, erythritol from fruit, whole plant sweeteners, functional botanicals that you can recognize. Prioritize function, not just flavor. Real functional chocolate should list the purpose of its ingredients, whether it's calming, energizing, or gut supportive. Support brands that tell the full story. Ask where the cacao comes from. Was it grown in harmony with nature? Does it empower communities? Does it pass the heavy metal test? Thank you for being a part of Season 1 of Heal Me with Chocolate podcast. I can't wait to share what's next. More expert interviews, origin stories, product deep dives, and maybe even live tastings. What I hope to accomplish in Season 2 is bring people who make food to talk about food. I will be talking with doctors, I will be talking with chefs, I will be talking with other business owners who create functional and not very functional food brands and try to understand what motivates them and what is their story behind food and how they see food as a tool to make a better world. Until then, keep treating yourself and remember, the right chocolate can truly heal you from inside out. With love and chocolate, the Atom.